Enjoying that break at the pump? What if I told you something could bring those prices even lower? The Keystone Pipeline, the House just giving it a green light, the Senate voting on Tuesday. Yet the White House more than hinting it could put on the brakes with a veto.
The Democratic-controlled Senate gets its chance to weigh in on Keystone tomorrow, and the battle line's getting tougher to cross when it comes to immigration reform, of course. Common sense and insight. Welcome back to MidPoint. Newsmax Beltway insider John Gizzi joins us once again. John, always a pleasure, my friend. Good to see that you are well attired as always. Let us then get down to how they're going to address, if you will, what happens at Keystone tomorrow. We had Mike Lee was on earlier, the Utah senator, and he said he's very confident that this will pass the Senate and seemed to indicate he thought it would pass easily. What do you think?
Absolutely. In fact, it may come close to the 60 votes that are needed to shut off any filibuster against it, although I don't anticipate any. The problem herein is that the president can veto it, or better yet, as many were predicting on Capitol Hill, pocket veto it. That means that if he does absolutely nothing with the bill, and then Congress adjourns during that period for any reason, it automatically does not become law. And this would allow him to be spared the extravaganza of putting Senator Mary Landrieu of Louisiana, the chief sponsor, out to dry. She faces a runoff election December 6th. She's the underdog against Republican Bill Cassidy, but the pipeline's popular in Louisiana. She advanced the legislation, and her colleagues want to do all they can to save her. President Obama is doing all that he can not to embarrass her too much, and that portends a pocket veto.
But as far as Landrieu and Cassidy in the battle goes, it still does not look good for her at all in the runoff, correct?
No, it does not, and this really has nothing to do with Keystone. That's almost a last-ditch effort. She made the case that she'd have power in the next Senate as chairman of the Energy Committee. Well, she's not going to be chairman of the Energy Committee. The Republicans took control. In addition, the Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee has very publicly cut off all of its expenditures on television, commercial TV, cable TV, the works. That doesn't look like too much of an enticement for contributors. So my guess is that one can be cautiously optimistic for Republican Bill Cassidy to become the 54th Republican senator.
What's the update on the Arizona 2nd Congressional District? Because last I checked, Ron Barber and Martha McSally, he had to win. The margin of victory had to be by 10%, 0.10, and it is actually 0.08. So here comes the recount.
I'm glad you asked that, and I'm not going to give you any inside baseball, Ed. If Republicans win this count or recount and one other, that will put them up to the total that they had, which is a modern high of representatives that they had in 1946. Louisiana is expected in its runoffs to send to Washington 2 more Republican senators, and that will put the vote total to an all-time high since 1928. So when one talks about a mandate, the numbers are historic. Now, in the race you speak about, Martha McSally, the first woman combat pilot in the Air Force, leads by 131 votes over Ron Barber. The race drew particular national attention because this was the seat of Democrat Gabby Giffords, who was tragically wounded a few years back. Ron Barber, her right-hand man, succeeded her in Congress, but now Ms. McSally has the lead, and the numbers are what it's all about in the end.
John, between Obamacare, between Keystone and immigration amnesty, it's going to be a fun week in Washington, D.C., and we are going to stay in touch with you, my friend. Always a pleasure, John. Keep an eye on the Beltway. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Thank you very much, Ed.
All right, John. Coming up in just a little bit, the immigration amnesty debate continues from both sides. And as far as Ferguson is concerned, everybody waits, not just in Ferguson, but around the country to see what might happen if and when that grand jury decision comes in. It's coming up right here on MidPoint.